Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Snatch Chat, where I'm here to help you lose fat, but not your mind. I'm Tiffany, certified personal trainer, nutrition specialist, and your body snatcher. And today I will be giving some specific recommendations for macros. Okay, so a little while back, I did a video on macros in general, and I kind of gave a little bit of their function and 3 facts that you should know about them. I'm actually going to link that one, but today I'm going to go over specifics on how you should apply them for your workouts and such. So I'm going to get into that, but before I do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, push the like on the button, push the like button to like the video. It really does help. So definitely do that. And then last but not least, do not forget to get your workouts. I put them in the description. It's pretty much a little kit, has some workouts, some nutrition stuff, a little bit of mindsets, things, just all kinds of good stuff. And it's totally free. So definitely check that out. Okay. So also, I always like to say that this is a chat, have my notes in front of me. This is to help me to stay on task and to get all the points that I want to get out. Okay? So if you see me glancing down a little bit, that's what's happening. Don't be mad. I'm just looking at my notes, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is just do a very brief overview of macros. Okay, so when we eat food, basically food is made up of lots of things, right? Macros is exactly what it sounds like. So macros are the main components of food, and those are 3 categories, and that's carbs, fat, and protein. And you probably already know that. So those are the 3 things that cause a lot of debate in fitness. You know, should you do low fat? Should you do low carb? All of that stuff. Okay. So that is the macronutrient side of things, and that's what we usually focus on. And then on the other side of that is micronutrients. So that's where your vitamins and minerals and all that other stuff comes into play. Okay. So today we're talking about macros. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tackle all 3 by themselves. So we're going to start with protein. Okay, the main job of protein is to fuel your muscles. Okay, it's one of the only ways to repair muscle other than stretching. I would say those 2 are your prime, repair methods for your muscles. So you should be doing both of those. And my specific recommendation is that you always do protein after your strength training. Okay, so there's a lot of, this is like one that's not really debated much, so this is one that you should just take for take me for what I'm saying, because people don't really disagree on this. Protein is not one of the ones that anyone is disagreeing on. Everyone says you should have protein and you should have it right away. So the main thing that I do want to really drill in is that it should be right away. So I know that when you're working out, sometimes time gets away. You may have to travel on your way back home to get to your food. I always say planning is one of your best tools for success. So you should know what you're going to eat directly after your workouts. If you are working out somewhere and you know that you're not going to be able to eat for another hour, 2 hours, you should have a snack that's high in protein to sustain you until you can eat your real food. Okay, so I think that people do hone on the protein, but they don't really pay attention that the timing of protein is one of the most valuable things. So you want to make sure that after your workouts, as soon as possible, you're getting protein. And I literally mean as soon as possible. So 30 minutes, I would say, is the longest you would want to go. But as soon as you're done, you should fill yourself with protein. My personal recommendations is 15 grams or more. You'll find that most snacks that are made for protein supplementation are going to be 15 grams or so. Sometimes though, which I've said in other videos, it's only like 10, 12, maybe even less than that, and they'll still call it a protein snack. So you have to be really careful of that. But I would say that 15 is the starter point. And then me preferably, I like 20 grams as my minimum. So 20 to 25 grams is what I pretty much recommend to clients. I say get that as soon as you can. And that's, you know, can be in any sort. You can do that in real food, a real meal, meats. You know, tofu is one of the few vegetarian options that has all the amino acids that are needed for protein and all of that. So, oh, I'm having a little scratch here. I don't know what that is. But anyway, so definitely want to get the stuff right away. And then if you want to do a snack, there's tons of snacks that can, you know, compensate for that. But I'm on the real food is always best, but I do supplements as well. So I'm not against them. You just have to know when you need them. Okay. And then as far as like, you know, the recommendations or whatever, 10 to 35% of your total macro nutrients of protein is what is recommended by the USDA. Okay, so as you know, that is a very wide range, and I did mention it in the last macros video. Those ranges are kind of unhelpful because it's like you're pretty much going to fall into those ranges no matter what. Okay, so even if you didn't even try to pay attention, you're probably going to fall in those ranges. So just putting it out there though, that is the recommendation. Okay, number 2, okay, is fat. All right, so the main role of fat is for storage. Okay, and while we do target and pay attention to the fat we don't want, I do like to say that fat is good in its way because it also cushions our tissues, our muscles, our bones. It's really like a cushioning system for our body. So fat in itself isn't bad. The problem is most of us we get the oversupply of it, right? And that's when the adipose tissue and all of that comes into play, and then we're getting the problems that a lot of us claim to have, and well, not really claim, but you know, the problems that we have. So just want to say that is the actual, you know, role of fat. 20 to 35% is the recommended dosage of daily percentage. I'm just going to go ahead and get that out the way. But like I said, I don't really think that's super helpful. But what I do want to point out, okay, is that fat is the one with the most calories, okay, of all the macronutrients. So this is where the whole low carb, high carb thing comes into play. Okay, so since the beginning of time, we've mostly always taught that you should have a low fat diet. Okay, and the reason for that is that low fat diets usually equate with a lower calorie diet. And as I've said over and over, calories is where the fat loss happens. Okay, you have to have a caloric deficit in order to lose fat. So that means you have to burn more calories than you eat. So this is the breakdown. Carbs and protein have 4 calories per gram, okay? So if you're eating something with a carb, or eating something with a protein, it's going to be 4 calories for 1 gram. If you eat fat, it's 9 calories per gram. So it's 2.5 times more calories in fat than it is in carbs and protein. And that's where a lot of the problems come into play. So if you think about things that are high in fat, you know, cakes, most of the things you think of, a lot of processed foods, desserts, those things, while they're high in sugar, which is what people kind of pay attention to, it's not the sugar. It's the fact that a lot of them are high in fat. So you're looking at the butter and a lot of the other stuff that makes up that thing. Fried chicken is the oil that makes chicken fattening, right? It's fried chicken versus like a baked chicken breast, which doesn't have oil, which oil is just is basically just fat. So what I would say is if you are really struggling with your weight loss, you should really consider going lower fat with your diet. And I know that this may be, you know, controversial to some people because I know keto is very, very popular right now. But the truth of the matter is a lot of people, and keto can be done. It can be done. I'm not a big fan of it personally. Because I understand the role of carbs in the body and what is needed, and we'll get to my carbs in a minute. But I'm not a fan mostly because of the role that each plays, and I know that there's a system that should happen with them. But a lot of it is that people on keto don't understand how to apply it without going really high fat in their diet. So while it works for some people, it doesn't work for most people. And it's also not a sustainable diet for most people, because most people do not want to eat that way for the rest of their life. So with fat loss and weight loss, it's always about doing things that you will want to do over time. And that's why that's the basis of my whole, training and coaching and all of that. So that's a little sidebar, but it's making my point. Basically, fat has a lot of calories. High calories equals usually a surplus of calories. Surplus of calories equals not losing weight or gaining weight. Okay, so that's that. All right, and then number 3, my beloved carbs that are just under attack right now from the whole world. Okay, so carbs are the fuel for your body. It is the preferred fuel for your body. It doesn't matter if you're low carb, high carb, whatever. Biologically, your body is always going to go for the carbs and the glucose and all of that to burn energy. Okay, so energy is needed for all of our processes, be it for working out or just getting out of bed or whatever, just for living. Okay, breathing requires energy. And so carbs are the preferred source of energy for your body with all of these things. And I also mentioned in the last video that it is the only preferred source of energy for our brains. Okay, now if you just think of that, that just should like set off alarms that maybe carbs aren't that bad if your brain is like wants it, right? So that is the role of carbs. Okay, and then the recommended value is like 40 to 60%, something like that, which again is going to be, depend on your diet. But even the USDA, if you think about that, like they're saying half of your diet should be carbs. And the reason they're saying that is because it is your energy source for your body. And your body is all function. Okay, that's what your body is doing, is performing functions all the time. So, be it, the USDA or whoever, this is just the truth of how the body prefers to operate. Okay, so that's that gist. But as far as applying it, you really want to get carbs in as much as you can before your workouts. Okay, so this is another thing, like carbs are one of the things that you should be pretty much paying attention to all day. But before your workouts, it's really good to have a little carb snack or a meal with carbs. So I just happened to do a video actually, and I did a workout, and today I just had a snack, but I had some little crackers, just to have a little bit of fuel to really get my muscles and my body ready to burn and to give me that extra energy boost for my actual strength training. So I will always recommend that you eat, something with some carbs right before your workouts. A lot of it is personal. If you're one of those people that your stomach gets upset and stuff like that, then maybe you should do a tiny bit earlier, but sometime before your workout is really great to get some carbs in. Okay, so I think that's it. Yes. I have another note. Yes, that's it. Okay, so those are my main recommendations. So I'm just going to do a little recap. So for the protein, okay, it is to get the protein in your body right away, okay, after you do your strength training. For fat, it's to go low fat if you're having a problem with calories and getting in a deficit and actually losing weight, because high fat equals high calorie. And then for carbs is to get get them in right before your workouts, okay, your strength training and cardio actually. So, and also with carbs, it's best after your strength training to have a little bit of carbs as well with the protein, okay. And I also will say that a lot of the snacks that are designed for working out and after protein or after workout snacks, they're already designed that way. So when you look at the label, you'll see that they have a lot of, well, not a lot of, but they have some carbs, some fat, they distribute it quite well on its own. So that's just something to think about. Okay, so those are the three macro suggestions. The action is to look at what you're doing now and to think of how you may need to change or implement your macros in a different way. Okay, because all of this does matter. In the end, though, I do want to end with my usual spiel that calorie and calorie deficit is the main and most important thing. Okay, so I also said this in I know I keep referring to the macros video, but I mean, it just had a lot of good points in it. But in the end, if you're eating a pretty balanced diet, your macros will usually balance out on their own. So if you want to track your calories and just track your food for a little while, you'll find that a lot of times your calories and your macros are your macros are gonna fall into the distribution ranges that I gave you. So you don't have to get super caught up on that. I just wanted to point out that it's really more about the timing of your macros, okay, and when you decide to eat them. Okay, so that is it for the day. Make sure you leave a comment. Let me know which of the three macros you are going to focus on, or that you have been implementing wrong, or what you have been implementing right. Okay, other than that, eat well, drink well, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.